I'm Evan Cagle. I'm the art director for The Odd Gentleman. So, the first piece, Goodnight Stories, was completed in, I guess it was about 2 days. It's done in watercolor, finished up in Photoshop, and it's basically a character piece. We've never seen this version of Graham before, so early on in the process, this was sort of key to figuring out his personality, who he was as a character. And I did several of these throughout his life. So this is sort of the end piece. This is the final piece of Graham, and I think it sort of explores a soft side of him, a contemplative side. He's surrounded in his bed by his dogs. He's not closed the book on his life, but it's over for him. And so this is a quiet moment with this new character for us in our exploration. The second piece, Rock in a Hard Place, was just mind fantasy. I mean, it was really just it was maybe the third or fourth in a series of explorations into what our goblins look like. And we knew that we wanted them to have an environmental quality. They needed to be able to camouflage themselves into the landscape. And so it's an awfully worked up piece for just being an exploration. But I was so in love with some of the textures that I was coming up with that I really ran with it. When we started King's Quest, Matt is an even bigger King's Quest than I am. And so for a while, Matt was my resource for sort of refreshing my memory on things and getting me back up to speed with King's Quest lore. But relying on memory is, a foolish endeavor, and so eventually you have to return to the original source. And so we ended up just sitting down and week after week playing through the early King's Quest games just to refamiliarize ourselves with the characters and the worlds. And that was, several months of really diving in. Anytime I can explore new medium or new characters, or when I feel like visually I'm able to move into uncharted territory, instantly whatever I'm working on right then becomes my favorite thing. And usually it takes me about a week to absolutely hate it and move on to something else. But at the moment, if I feel like what I'm doing is sort of tickling my brain in ways that I haven't experienced yet, then that's my favorite thing. A lot of King's Quest has been really brain tickling for me because it's the chance to do a fantasy game like King's Quest is a dream come true. The single biggest change in game art that I've recognized is the closer unity between concept and production. When I first started out in games years ago, there was usually a huge gulf between what concept art looked like and what the final art looked like. And obviously through better engines and through better artists, we're having a sort of a closer unity between where a concept begins and where it ends in terms of production. And that's a great thing because it means that we're also getting more stylish, I think, I hope. And that's been huge. Games that were really artistically influential to me visually, I don't know why it was not my type of game at the time, but Okami for some reason really pricked up my ears and got me interested again in doing something that was stylish, something that had its own self-contained style. Journey was another one that took style in a new direction for me, and that I really appreciated. There's so much time that you spend just looking at the art that you really, if you appreciate the art in Journey, you have plenty of time to look at it. And of course, like early Final Fantasy stuff when I was younger was always really great to me. But beyond games, I mean, it was fairy tale illustrations when I was a kid, Arthur Rackham, Brian Froud, stuff like that. And of course, 80s fantasy movies were huge for me. A lot of people don't know that most of the concepts in the game, most of the character designs come from people that I know. They're people that are in the office, they're people that I'm friends with. Almost everybody in the cast has a corresponding real life counterpart. But for instance, like in Goodnight Stories, the dogs on Graham's bed are actually my dog. That's my dog. So I have both a blogspot and a Tumblr where people can check out my stuff. The Tumblr is hypermirage.tumblr.com, hypermirage.tumblr.com. And the other one is, I think, hypermirage.blogspot.com. So.